welcome back to Ball with Y'all, the Friday show for our week here for week one. And just let me say, we're pretty pumped for what we have in store over the next few days. Actually, week one officially began last night with a number of great games, particularly with West Virginia and Pittsburgh. So that was great to watch, and looking forward to some more games tonight, and then also throughout the rest of the weekend on Sunday and Monday as well. Yeah, big weekend ahead. Of course, we also have some major news and some major events in the NASCAR world as well, so we're looking forward to getting into that. As always, thank you for choosing to join us, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Breaker, or on YouTube at BWY Productions. Wherever you're joining us from, we're so glad you chose to spend just a little bit of your day here with us. Without further ado, let's get into our opening segment. Let's crack it open. So, Zach, we are officially, I know last week we kind of talked about it a little bit, and we had it a little bit on the Monday show. We are officially in the college football season. How does it feel?
It feels great. Last week was the trailer for it. We got 2 minutes. Now we get to start the whole movie this week.
Yeah.
I am so pumped, mainly because we actually get to talk about football games, which is going to be even better. September, this is the first of the next 3 months that are, in my opinion, the best 3 months of the entire year. And we get to talk about it all here on Ball with Y'all.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly exciting, and we've got a full slate tomorrow with starting at noon all the way down into the 7 o'clock games with a game that we'll be at, actually, with the Florida-Utah game.
You got it.
Which will be a lot of fun.
Live there with Ball with Y'all.
We'll be recording on site. That'd be great. So with all that said, before we get into the actual games over the next few days, I want to get your thoughts as far as what we expect to see as far as the season goes. Particularly, we'll start off, of course, with conference title winners, Heisman Trophy winners, and so on. Zach, we'll start with the conference titles. I feel like those are probably the somewhat more consensus picks these days. Who do you got winning the ACC?
I think it's back to where it belongs. It's Clemson this year. I think Clemson, maybe not, I think back on a national stage like they've been, but I think a solid top 10 team that finishes in the 10-2, 11-1 ballpark and gets them in the conversation for a Final Four, but not officially there. I think it's Clemson, hands down, back in charge of the ACC this year. How about yourself?
It's almost like you read my show notes. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I would never do that.
No, with I think DJ Uiagalelei will bounce back better this year. I think last year was a very sobering year for him. And honestly, a lot of people looked at Clemson last year and said, "Oh, well, they had a down year." They were 10-3. And they ended strong after a really lackluster start. So I'm fairly confident that the Clemson Tigers will find a way back into the title game and then on to winning the conference title there. Zach, Big Ten, who you got?
Ohio State. Yeah, it's chalk. It's not going to be. I don't think. Last year we had the surprises of like a Pittsburgh and Michigan winning those respective conferences, the ones we've talked about so far. That's not this year. I think it's back to Ohio State. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. That's a program that doesn't expect to ever be missing the Final Four, and they did last year, dropping 2 games in the regular season. Obviously winning the best game of the year, I think, last year in the Rose Bowl against Utah. But I think Ohio State's playing with a chip on their shoulder. Ryan Day's going to have that team fired up, ready to go, and they're going to start by taking Notre Dame to the woodshed this weekend.
Honestly, Ohio State's offense is probably in a really good position to compete with the LSU of 19, of Alabama of 20. Honestly, looking at C.J. Stroud, looking at Travion Henderson at running back, looking at Smith and Jigba out on the outside, and then also they have a all-time legend, his son out there at wide receiver on the other side, right? Who was it? Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that? Yeah,
yes.
He's out there as well. So stacked that offense is, and I don't expect anyone to put up a fight
Not at all.
in the Big Ten this year.
Not at all.
Good luck to all the Big Ten supporters out there. Big 12, they still exist. Zach, who do you got winning the conference this year?
We're going to go to the team that was on the doorstep last year. We're going to roll with Oklahoma State. I think the Mike Gundy's Cowboys get back into prime position to make another run at the playoff. I think the schedule bodes well for them too, looking ahead. And I think they'll find themselves probably playing Baylor again, honestly. I don't really see... Obviously, you have the Oklahomas of the world, and everyone's going to talk Texas into being a contender in that conference. That's not happening. It's a 3-horse race like it's been for the last few years, where it's Oklahoma State, Baylor, and Oklahoma. And I'm going to roll with the Cowboys this year.
Looking at the odds, I just kind of want to get a sense as to what Vegas was saying. Did you know Texas has the second highest odds to win the conference?
I'm sure they do.
And
every year.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
I don't know.
Well, I will roll with the runner-up that you have. I'll go with the Baylor Bears to repeat this year. I love Dave Aranda. I love what their team's doing. And I know they lost a few different pieces and so on, but I love his defense, and I love everything about that program. And obviously it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot. You never know what Oklahoma's going to bring. Oklahoma State's going to be around, and I mean, as we always see, TCU always has an upset win here or there.
Iowa State.
That can just really unravel someone's season, but I'm confident that the Baylor Bears are in a good position. Zach, we will see a Pac-12 team tomorrow in the form of the Utah Utes. Who do you have winning the Pac-12?
Not the Utah Utes. As much as I'm tempted to say they're going to run it back and do it again like they did last year, I don't see that happening. And I see it kind of playing out like the Pac-12 has played out the last couple of years, where there's a couple teams that have a shot at national prowess, and they all lose multiple games. And I'm going to pick the most boring team to pick. It's going to be USC. They're going to win that conference, probably at 10-2, be ranked in between the 10th and 15th spot, sell for a nice Rose Bowl, which is great, a great start for Lincoln Riley there. But I have USC winning it coming out of the South.
So Kyle Whittingham is going into his 18th year at Utah.
Correct. We will see him.
We will see him live and in person. And, this would be my second team that I'm picking to go back-to-back in their conference. But looking at the odds, again, just to kind of get a sense of it, USC had the top odds, and you had Oregon in there, and Utah, and UCLA, fourth best odds, which I thought was strange. Now, I will put a caveat here. Last year, I picked Arizona State to win the Pac-12, and they were horrible. So picking Utah here is not exactly a good omen for their program, but I'm going to ride with the Utes, which might give an indication as to how I think they'll do this Saturday, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. I'll ride with the Utes here. And then, Zach, lastly, as far as the Power 5 goes, the conference we love the most, the SEC. Who you got?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Easy. Easy. Not even a thought. They're going to leave that game 13-0, the number one seed, headed into the playoffs, which is our caveat into our next segment here. But it's Alabama all day, every night, 24/7, 365. Georgia will give them a game. Maybe. Maybe not. And I think Alabama walks into the playoff undefeated.
That brings such a smile to my face.
That's what I'm here for.
Exactly. Honestly, I do think it's pretty adventurous of you to say that Georgia will make the SEC championship game. I mean, we just saw Vanderbilt throttle Hawaii.
Commodores, the conference championship.
Clark Lee was on to something. I will ride with the Crimson Tide as well, and to your point, beating Georgia for the second straight year in the SEC championship. You mentioned a number of other things that are going on in the world. We'll go into the Final Four. Let's go there.
I like it.
Let's bounce there. You teased a little bit of it. Who you got landing into the college football playoff Final Four teams?
Okay. Hang with me here, okay? I have a thing I have to say.
Okay.
Oklahoma State's making the college football playoff this year, the Big 12. They're going 13-0, running the slate. They're coming in probably as a 3 or 4 seed. The other teams that are going to be in there with them, I have Ohio State, Alabama, and I also have Georgia.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I think Georgia gets back to the playoff. I think they go 12-0. They meet Bama in the SEC championship, and then they ride in together, sort of like they did last year too. If I was going to seed them today, I would seed it Alabama 1, Ohio State 2, Oklahoma State 3, Georgia 4. And I lean towards Alabama winning it all again.
Well, I will say we do share some teams, which is encouraging. As you might imagine, yes, for the first time probably ever. As you might imagine, I do have Alabama, right? I think they are coming off of that rebuilding year, which I know people kind of reacted interestingly to that. But last year, I thought that team was going to lose 3 games, and the fact they only lost 1 going into the final game of the year was shocking, at least for my lens. Ohio State, I mentioned I don't expect anybody to stop their offense this year, so good luck outscoring them, and I only think there's a small handful of teams that could do that. Clemson, I think they'll get back. I think it's about time that they get back to prominence. They took a year off. It kind of reminds me of 2010 Alabama, where like, what the heck? You lost 3 games. What are you doing? You just won a championship like last year. Clemson just won in 2019 or 2018, right? 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Yep. And it feels like forever ago now. So much has happened. We had a whole pandemic.
Yeah.
we're in a recession.
And they won the Cheez-It Bowl.
They won the Cheez-It Bowl,
which is a big omen.
Yeah, it tends to work out well for you. So I'll ride with the Clemson Tigers to get back there, and then I will ride with my Big 12 conference champion, the Baylor Bears. Last year I thought they could have gotten in, but they didn't. They didn't. Like they just missed just a tad. But I like them to get up there and give some teams a run for their money. Now I don't know how they'll match up with an Alabama or an Ohio State, but I'd love to see them in there. Like I said, I love Dave Aranda. I love what he does defensively, and I'd love to see that Baylor Bear defense against that Alabama offense. I love that Ohio State offense. So it'll be fun. So at least from my lens, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Baylor, and then you, my friend, you had
Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Georgia.
Very good. Now, your national champion from those four.
Roll Tide.
Very good.
I think this is the year Alabama finally puts the nail in the coffin in that 15-0 season that they're very deserving of but haven't had yet.
2018 gives me.
What happened? Okay. 44 to 16.
It was bad.
It
was a long night. No. I will ride with the Crimson Tide as well.
Okay.
Do you have Alabama beating Ohio State? Or
yeah, I think probably what will happen is I think Ohio State will probably roll in as the 1 seed, honestly, and then I have Alabama as the 2, and then both of them advancing to the championship and Alabama beating them.
Okay, my pick might really upset a lot of people because they've already seen it 4 times, and I have an expectation they'll see it a 5th time. I don't know how, but I think Clemson will beat Ohio State, and I'm ready for Alabama and Clemson Part 5.
I'm so tired. If that happened, okay, yeah, I know your team's in it when those games happen, but are you not sick of playing them?
Well, I just look at it from a lens of if I'm not a Warriors fan, I wasn't a Cavaliers fan, and I hated that whole matchup for, was it 5 years in a row? 4 years?
4.
That was awful. And like I can imagine if my team wasn't a part of it, I'd be like, well, even if my team was a part of it, I was like, all right, can we move on, play somebody else? But we've had a few years off. It's warranted.
I guess.
I still hate Clemson, so it's okay.
Good Lord.
Only a couple more predictions for you, sir. Heisman Trophy winner. Who you got?
C.J. Stroud.
The betting favorite.
Yeah, I like him too. I think Ryan Day's offense is going to be going absolutely nuclear. And he's going to have I think he's going to have the storyline of the Heisman winner the entire season, honestly. Yeah. I think he comes out really hot against Notre Dame. Puts in that work all season long, and I see him holding on to that top spot all the way through to him winning the Heisman. And listen, Bryce Young. Very good quarterback.
Great quarterback.
Heisman winning quarterback.
Correct.
Should he win it again? Yes. Will he? No.
No.
If you recall, Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy in 2012. He improved on his stats for 2013, and he didn't win it. Same with Lamar Jackson in 2016 to 2017. So the Heisman doesn't go 2 years in a row unless you're Archie Griffin. So I don't see Bryce Young repeating. I see him having the same year, if not better than last year, but I just see the media storm getting behind C.J. Stroud and pushing him across.
Didn't Tebow do that too?
Tebow did improve on his stats from 07 to 08.
And probably from 08 to 09 as well, I have to imagine.
Oh, yeah, and didn't win. So it's a media narrative, honestly. I think that awards lost a lot of its luster. But it seems like it's determined by who has the most buzz, regardless of stats, which is what it's supposed to be on, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at some of the favorites out there from an SEC lens, there's a lot of guys up there. Looking at Alabama, of course, like you mentioned, Bryce. He's at plus 350 right now, according to Vegas. Will Anderson, who the Terminator, he was at plus 2,000 last I saw. I'm gonna ride with a newcomer for the Crimson Tide. A guy who tore it up in the ACC a year ago, who probably was not being utilized as best as he should. I'm going to ride with Jahmyr Gibbs. Coming in from Georgia Tech.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay.
Full set?
Yeah, this is.
It'll be the first running back to win for the Crimson Tide since, of course, Derrick Henry back in 2015. I really like his odds. And I don't know what that team's going to look like this year, but they made Najee Harris a top five finisher back in 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if Jahmyr found his way up there as well. And then looking at his stats from a year ago, 746 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, and then 470 yards in the air receiving, and then 2 touchdowns as well. So he's
a stud.
Yeah, and again for Georgia Tech.
I know.
Their offense is not exactly the most conducive to stat padding. So I like Jameer.
Okay. At least that's off the beaten path. You have me there, right?
I tried.
I picked one of the 2 or 3 favorites. You were like, well, actually, Zach, here's where you're wrong.
My playoff wasn't exactly off the beaten path.
No, yeah. We have the Heisman and playoffs covered here, folks. No problem.
Moving on to the games this weekend. Full slate, like I mentioned. We'll be at one of the games ourselves. I want to go in order of kind of the significance, I feel like. So we'll actually start kind of in reverse, if you will. Going with the game taking place on Sunday between the Florida State Seminoles and the LSU Tigers in Atlanta. LSU is a 3-point favorite, and I believe the over-under on that game is around 51.5.
Yeah.
What do you got on that?
When's the last time LSU opened the season at a neutral site against an ACC team?
This is a trick question.
No, it's Miami.
Oh.
What'd they do? They won by 30.
Yeah.
It's happening again. Brian Kelly's lucky that they're playing Florida State to start the season because I think that's the most winnable game they're going to have. Obviously before some out-of-conference games. But I think LSU walks. I don't think the over is going to hit on 51.5. I think it'll probably land a little short of that. But I see LSU winning this game somewhere around 38-7, 38-10. It's going to be bad, I think, if you're a Seminole fan.
Wow. Looking at last week, Florida State looked incredible against the mighty Duquesne Dukes. Big win there. It is year 3 under Mike Norvell, of course, as they continue their rebuild. But you look at this LSU team. I mean, they've got Drayden Daniels at quarterback, the transfer from Arizona State. They did lose a lot over the offseason at quarterback, at the offensive line position, and so on. But they also gained a good bit as well, right? And honestly, I don't know what to say about this Tigers team. I think they're probably the hardest in the SEC to predict this year. You've seen some who picked them to finish last in the SEC West and some who picked them to finish second or even first in some cases. But here, I expect Brian Kelly and LSU to really come out and impress. I think Brian knows that he needs to set the stage for his career at LSU, and this will be a resounding comeback for the Tigers. I will go over on both the points and the spread. I'll go 41-20 Tigers.
Ooh.
Yeah, high scoring.
I like it.
There you go.
Okay.
Zach, next, again, the game will be at.
Yes.
In Gainesville.
Yes.
Featuring
the
number 7 Utah Utes against the Florida Gators. Florida's a 3-point underdog at home. The over-under is 51 points.
Give me Florida covering +3 and also the overhitting. I think Florida wins this game. The SEC is too big for a Pac-12 school, albeit a great Pac-12 school in Utah. I think Florida wins this game kind of going away at the end. Give me Florida 41-30.
Wow. All right. Very good. Very good. I look at this game like it's a returning production kind of game. I love Utah Utes returning production. They got Cam Rising at quarterback. They got Brant Kuth at tight end alongside the other side with Dalton Kincaid. I know they lost a couple big targets with Britton Covey, I believe, was one of their big targets last year. They're going to miss him, so their wide receiver room is pretty young as a result. But I also love their defense. No slouch, right? And it's hard to get good defense on the Pac-12, so all credit to you if you got that. Looking at the Florida side, we know about the turnover. We know about Billy Napier coming in and trying to really set the tone in his first game for the Gators. And we also know that Anthony Richardson is the guy now. Last year, he was not the guy. It was Emory Jones. And
I think he should have been the guy, too,
probably,
for the record.
Yeah. And then, what did they put him in for the Georgia game?
I think so.
And then it all kind of unraveled.
Right. But I think he's back this year. In a good way.
Mind you, he had a good game against Georgia, and then a couple bad plays at the very end of the first half, and it falls apart.
Absolutely.
I think, looking at this game, Billy Napier needs this game. Mm-hmm. But I think Florida will be a little overmatched here in game 1 for him and the Gators. I will go Utah winning in Gainesville, but the under hitting on the over-under of 51, I'll go 27-17 Utes.
Okay. I can live with that.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's good.
Moving on to another game, a big game taking place between the Cincinnati Bearcats, number 23 Cincinnati Bearcats, visiting the number 19 Arkansas Razorbacks. The spread is 6 points in favor of the Razorbacks. Over-under is 52 points.
Hot take, this is the game of the week. Okay?
Okay.
We'll explain that later. But I think Arkansas wins this game. I think it's probably the most competitive of the games that we have here this weekend. I think Arkansas wins this game. We're going to go 27-23. I think Cincinnati and Arkansas slug it out defensively, but KJ Jefferson is just too much in the end. So let's go on the under and Arkansas not covering the 6.
Wow. Well, I have a very similar score, so that's good. That's a good place to start. Now, I will say, just looking at this game, it does begin a bit of a gauntlet schedule for the Razorbacks. They are the only team in the nation this year that will face an opponent each week that made their respective 2021 postseason. Even the FCS schools they're playing made their respective postseason as well. So it's going to be a long season for the Razorbacks,
I think
to say
so,
the least.
too.
And this is definitely not the welcome sight they were looking for. But like you mentioned, KJ Jefferson's coming in. I'd say probably top 3 SEC returning quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially if you remove Bryce Young from that conversation. He's definitely up there. Looking at the Cincinnati side, we know they lost a lot of big pieces. We know they lost Desmond Ridder. We know they lost Sauce Gardner. They lost Kobe Bryant, right? A number of really significant pieces for them, but they still have talent, right? They're no slouches. We know what Luke Fickell's done for that program. I do think the Bearcats will lose, but I don't think it'll be nearly as ugly as it was back in January when they played the Crimson Tide. I will go with Arkansas holding home court, or home field, if you will, winning 33-21, so they will cover, but I believe the under on that points hitting. Or actually just over. Correction. Just over.
Math.
Wow.
Homeschooled math.
I was homeschooled, yeah. So
It's okay, I was too.
Yeah, fair enough.
But less than you.
33-21 Razorbacks. Number 11, Oregon, coming down to basically Georgia's backyard.
Yep.
To play the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia is a 17-point favorite. The over-under is 53 points. What we got?
Easy. Georgia, covering, under, hitting. Not even close. I don't even think I'll watch this game. It's already... I mean, honestly, like, sometimes we get these beginning of the season games and it's like, oh, it's a top 10 matchup or just outside the top 10, and it's like, this is going to be a blowout. It's not going to be pretty. I think Oregon is way overranked, in my opinion. And Georgia's coming off of winning a national championship. Give me Georgia, I mean, let's just go 35-3.
Wow.
It's going to be bad.
Well, keep in mind, Bo Nix is the quarterback for the Oregon Ducks now, which means that they are not going to put up too many points. Dan Lanning is their head coach, which means they are not going to put up too many points because he's a defensive guy. And honestly, I think Oregon's more of a brand name at this point than they are an actually
talented team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at last year, the wheels really fell off toward the end of the season. And if I was an Oregon Duck fan, I'm not really looking forward to this game.
No.
Now, granted, I do think Georgia will slip up a little bit defensively because they've lost a few pieces here and there. But overall, I still think they'll win comfortably, right? I think they'll win this game against their old friends in the form of Dan and Bo, winning 38-17. So there
That's
you have
over.
them. Yep, have them over just a tad.
And covering.
And covering.
Okay.
There you go.
Noted.
So just a little bit here and there. And then lastly, what we are calling I guess game day will be there, right?
It is game day week.
That's fine. Number 5, Notre Dame, going on the road to visit number 2, Ohio State. The Buckeyes are a 17-point favorite at home. The over-under is 59.5. What do you got?
For a moment, I just want everyone to picture this. Everyone's hyped up for this game. Game day's there. It's a top 5 matchup week 1. 2 very successful and historical programs. Picture in your mind, you check the score on ESPN, and Notre Dame's winning. You can't do it.
No.
There's no way. Ohio State wins this game. This is the same thing as the Georgia-Oregon game, in my opinion. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be pretty. Give me Ohio State winning this one 48-13.
48-13. Very good. And just over.
Exactly.
Very
More
good.
importantly. Over hits, Ohio State covers. I know top five. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Can't get any better than that, right? Yeah, it can. Ohio State absolutely demolishes Notre Dame. C.J. Stroud throws 4 touchdowns, runs for another. It's easy.
We did hear from Dylan from New Jersey earlier this week, and he gave us his take on his team, and he said he didn't have that many expectations for his team, which, granted, he also said a year ago, so I'm not really that surprised that he said that. He has very little expectations for Notre Dame. But I mentioned I'm not a big fan of Marcus Freeman as a head coach. I don't think he'll do what Brian Kelly did for them. Granted, Brian Kelly didn't take them to the top, but he got them pretty close a couple different times. I mentioned Ohio State. Going to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, C.J. Stroud, frightening. Travion Henderson, frightening. Smith and Jigba and Marvin Harrison Jr. out there.
Yeah.
Like, it's there's too much for Notre Dame to cover. I know they're generally probably going to be a defensive team this year, but that's quite the way to start the season.
Yeah.
And your only hope is that Ohio State comes out rusty, but I don't see that happening. I think Ohio State will pretty easily run over Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go over as well. 45-20.
Similar.
Ballpark
it.
Yep.
I like it.
Very good. All right, so those are our picks. Let's pass it over to our next segment, NASCAR 1 to go.
White flag, next one exit.
Very good. So, Zach, we are going into the Darlington race this weekend, the first race of the NASCAR playoffs, and we'll also be there as well.
Hey!
We have a full weekend.
Yes, we do.
Zach, what can our listeners expect at Darlington?
Well, it's the longest race of the year time-wise. Coca-Cola 600 obviously is 100 extra miles. This race takes forever. It's the most beautiful race of the year, in my opinion, watching the sun go down. That Labor Day feel is going to be just so fun, too. This has got to be one of my favorite races of the year. It's a playoff opener. It's a crown jewel race. It doesn't get any better than this. I think what we're going to be seeing, a lot of guys getting loose. I mean, 21 cars finished the race there in the spring, and we have 100 extra miles to run this week. So I see a lot of chaos, guys pushing it. They're in the playoffs. There's not much wiggle room. You got to get every spot you can. A lot of wrecking, a lot of spinning, a lot of action, a lot of passing. And I see the playoffs getting off to a really fun start.
No, it'll be a really good time. It'll be great for us to be there as well.
Indeed.
On site. Ball with Y'all will be there. Feel free to come by and get a Ball with Y'all sticker or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be there.
For sure.
We'll have them already. Zach, who do you expect to win this week?
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin.
Not even close.
He won here last year to open the playoffs.
He's won here a lot.
Yes.
This is arguably his best track. Denny Hamlin, I think he's just there at the end. And that last run seems to determine this race every single year. No one ever leads us wire to wire. But that car that's been in the top 5 all night seems to come alive. About 50, 60 to go and kind of hold serve until the end. I see that kind of happening this week with Denny Hamlin and him starting the playoffs like he started last year's playoffs with a win.
And he'll secure a spot in the round of 12.
You got it.
Now, I will take a departure from our playoff drivers, and I'll go with Denny's teammate, who just barely missed on the playoffs. I'll go Martin Truex Jr. In 20 races at Darlington, he's got an average finish of 12th, including 2 wins, 4 top 5s, and he's also led over 720 laps at Darlington. Now, I know you just said it may not necessarily matter what happens over the first 2 stages, but I like his odds this week. And I know it doesn't really matter a whole lot for him either, but he's running for 17th.
Yeah.
So that's important.
That's fun.
That's exciting.
That's good.
So we'll see how that unfolds. We both have Toyotas
Yes.
coming out on top. Now,
Yes.
I did mention the playoffs, so we are starting the round of 16 this week. Zach, of the 16 drivers we have so far, who are the 4 you have being eliminated in the first 3 races here?
Well, I feel like everyone that I've been watching do this week, there's always like 1 or 2 people that are really quick on the trigger when it comes to mind. For me, those first 2 are Bowman and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon, obviously, you haven't had the speed to go up there and win. He got a great win at Daytona last weekend, not taking that away from him. That's an easy elimination, in my opinion. Bowman, where's the speed been? It's been nowhere. He can't stop wrecking. He can't finish races. He's not good right now. Crew chief's leaving the team. I see him being an early elimination this year. The next 2 kind of are interesting. And I've heard a lot of people say Austin Cindric. I don't think so. I think Cindric is kind of on a heater right now, if I'm being honest. I think he's got a lot of momentum, so I'm not going that way in the Ford camp. I am going to say Chase Briscoe, as much as it pains me. And this is a guy I think early part of the year could have had 3 wins and been in a lot different spot and had winning speed, it seemed like, almost every week there for a while. The last person I see getting eliminated, as much as it hurts to say, it's Ross Chastain. There is no momentum there. I mean, he dropped from 2nd to 6th in the standings over the last 6 races. Hasn't had a top 10 since New Hampshire. And he's just in free fall right now. And he's owed payback still. And it sucks. I really don't want to have that happen. I would love to see Ross advance all the way through the playoffs. But I see him having maybe 1 bad race. And then at that point, you're just 1 mistake away from potentially getting eliminated in this round. And with the momentum that team has right now, I hope I'm dead wrong. But my negative favoritism of Ross has me saying he's going to be out after round 1.
Wow. No, I do have Ross being eliminated soon, but not quite round 1. I think he'll make it to the round of 12, and then we'll start to see some of that payback. To your point, we do have a few drivers in common, which is good. Austin Dillon, to your point, not much thought there. Chase Briscoe as well, have him slotted to be eliminated. Haven't really seen much from him, and he also makes a ton of mistakes.
Yep.
A lot of mistakes.
Yep.
I don't want to call them uncharacteristic mistakes, but just unacceptable mistakes.
I agree.
Beyond those two, I will go with Ross Chastain's teammate, Daniel Suarez. He's had some great runs. He was leading at one point in time this past Sunday, but he's also disappointed a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, it just takes one bad race, and then it all kind of falls apart. Looking at like the bottom 6 to 8 drivers, they're all kind of within the same range.
Oh yeah.
Where if they get a penalty that puts them at the back of the pack because tire over the wall too soon, that could end their playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that was to happen to Daniel Suarez. And lastly, going a little bit off the beaten path, I've heard a lot of predictions this week from some of our podcast friends and so on. I've heard predictions from yourself. I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick.
Oh, no.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, it's... he, again, same kind of bucket. A lot of drivers who are kind of in the same area. And I don't really know that I expect him to get eliminated, but I also would not be surprised if he was, just because of some random things that might occur. If he blows a tire, his engine shuts off, whatever else, you never know what could take place. I think this speaks to the uncertainty of the playoffs. So I would not be shocked. I don't necessarily know that I expect him to, but I had to have some wild card in there, right?
That's fair. I agree. I can see it. The thing I would just challenge with that is, like, Reddick has had race-winning speed the last 2 months. Like, there's not anything in me that'd be surprised to see Tyler Reddick win this weekend, or at Bristol, or at Kansas too. So that's kind of where I was looking at, like, okay, which of my guys are going to be knocked out in the first round? I was like, have these guys had race-winning speed?
Momentum,
right? But Reddick, that's bold. If you get that right...
Yeah, if I get it right, we'll be in great shape. We're going to save this recording.
$1 million parlay.
$1 million parlay. Like the guys who had that with the Cody Ware and so on. Moving on to, and this is really early. This is about 9 races away, to say the least. Who do you got making the round of 4 and facing off for a championship in Phoenix?
Chase Elliott.
Very good.
Joey Logano. Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin. Easy.
Without thought.
Now, I feel really confident about Elliott and Hamlin making it. Those are my two, like, yes, they will be there. I don't care who else is there. Those guys will definitely be there, though. The Larson pick, he's hot right now, too. Finished the regular season really well, minus the Daytona incident. He did win at Watkins Glen. Do you remember that race?
I choose not to.
Okay, I do. And he was there last year, too. And I think him and Cliff Daniels have the momentum going right now to get him back there. So that's why I have him there. My Logano pick, same kind of reason as Larson, with him being on a heater the last, I'd say, probably 2 months. Paul Wolf's made some great calls for points, strategy to get him a higher finish at the end of the race, leaving him out at the end of a stage to grab some extra points. That team is just set up. Logano just is that guy in the playoffs. That no matter where he's entering the playoffs position-wise, you expect him to go far. My last point about why Logano, 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020, he's made the Final Four. Every even-numbered year, he's made the Final Four. To back that up, every odd-number year, he hasn't made the Final Four. So tradition has to keep itself going. Joe Logano's in the Final Four.
Very good. Well, interestingly enough, you and I share much of the same Final Four. We both have Joey Logano. To your point, he's been sneaky good, I would say, over the last... I mean, to see him finish second, when I checked the points after the race on Sunday, I was like, oh, dang. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Really impressive from Joey. Chase, kind of a no-brainer. And I know you never know what could happen in the round of 8 or whatever else, but pretty confident with where he's been right now. And he's also been pretty good at Phoenix, so wouldn't be surprised if that works out well for him as well. Denny Hamlin, it comes down to if his pit crew can hold up their end of the bargain. I mean, he's had some really fast hot rods as of late, and he just cannot finish the deal a number of different times by no fault of his own.
Yeah,
it's just his team cannot execute when they're called upon. And then I do have another Chevrolet in the top 4.
Is it Kyle Larson?
No.
Is it Ross Chastain?
No, Kyle Larson, he'll only make the Final Four if in that last race of the round of 8, Chase Elliott is right next to him on like a restart, and he uses like Chase as like a bumper.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only way he'll
it's
make
worked
it.
twice this year.
It has worked. It had worked multiple times throughout his career as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a trend of sorts. I do have a Hendrick driver making the Final Four.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it's not another second Hendrick driver.
Okay. Yes.
And it's not Kyle Larson.
Okay.
It's not Alex Bowman.
Not surprising.
Yeah. Considering you just
But this is about to be.
I have William Byron
man.
making the Final Four. Now this is I don't know how to describe it. I have a feeling, right? I have a good feeling. I know he's not been great as of late, but he's had a couple good runs. Not good finishes, but good runs. And at one point in time, he was probably the championship favorite. As early as, or as recent as April, which again, 4 months ago, five months ago now. Wow, it's September. I can't explain it. I can't justify it. But that's what the playoffs is all about. You get some random guy sometimes up there who, I mean, imagine, it's possible Austin Dillon could go out there.
Yeah. He could.
Now, my reasoning to sit here and say that Austin Dillon is my reasoning why William Byron's in my Final Four is not exactly a good explanation. But I'm going to ride with William Byron to somehow find a way to get into the Final Four right up alongside his teammate. Now, Zach, we know who our Final Four drivers are.
Yes.
Who do you have winning the championship this year?
Well, first off, on the Byron point,
Yes.
I just want to make it known. It's not that crazy because my preseason pick for the championship this year was William Byron. And I'd say it's safe to say that a lot of people had him as a championship favorite about a quarter of the way into the year. They fall off a cliff. Not that they can't get out of it, but right now that's a funky pick, but I like it.
Hey, you know.
You go off the beaten path today. This has been good.
3 different times.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Hey, this is great. Okay, who's my champion? Well, 6 out of the last 8 years,
Okay.
we have had a first-time champion. Okay? None of those have been Denny Hamlin. I'm going with trends today. Until he wins a championship or retires, I will pick Denny Hamlin to win a championship every single year. He's the best driver who's not won a championship. I have him in my Final Four. I have him winning the race at Phoenix and winning the championship. And if he doesn't, I'll do the same exact thing next year because he was my pick in 2020. He was my pick last year. He was my pick in 2019 at Homestead too. He has to find a way to win a championship. If he makes, this would be his, I believe, his 5th Final Four appearance. 2014, 19, 20, and 21, and then this year, I think. If he walks out of that race at Phoenix and he is not the champion, he'll never win a championship, in my opinion. He has to win. He's the most talented driver in the field, I think, right now. Him and Gabe Hart, great pairing. Can their crew keep it clean enough to make it there? I think so. I have Denny Hamlin winning the championship.
I love Denny, personally. I know you don't.
I don't. For full disclosure, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope a lot of my picks don't come true. Just FYI.
I love Denny Hamlin. I love what he does for the sport. I love him as a team owner. I've come to love him as a driver at one point in time. But I'm not going to pick him to win. And I'm not going to pick Chase to win because I don't think I can comfortably on the same episode pick Alabama and Chase to win on the same.
You could.
I mean, yeah, but then what are the odds that happens? If that happens, man, I'll be in great shape. But I don't expect that to happen. I don't know how, but I don't think Chase will pull it off in the end. I'll probably blame Alan Gustafson in the end. I don't expect it to be William Byron because I'm not really that confident he'll make the Final Four, even though I just picked him. So I can't really confidently sit here and say that he'll win at Phoenix. I will, however, say that our friend Joey Logano goes out there, finds a way.
I like it.
His crew chief puts him in a good position. And like I said, he's been sneaky good as of late.
Yes.
He continually finds a way, whether it's a road course or just a traditional course or whatever else, a mile and a half, he finds a way. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if come the very end of the season, Joey Logano goes out there and wins yet another championship for Penske.
I like it. 22 and 22.
Very good. That's
trend.
There you go.
New trend.
It's almost like it was written in the stars.
Or, yeah, pretty much.
Basically.
I don't have anything else to add.
Anyway, that'll do it for our show today. As always, we appreciate you giving us just a little bit of your time and encourage you to check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on TikTok.
Boom.
We will have a busy weekend this weekend and hope you enjoy all of the games. And being back to college football.
Yes, and we'll have stuff to report back to you coming from Gainesville this week, going to Darlington. I mean, we're at the best SEC game this week. We're going to be at the best place to be for a racing fan this week in the entire world. It's a crown jewel race. It's a playoff opener. And Ball with Y'all is going to be there, and we're taking y'all with us.
It'll be so fun. Well, as always, we appreciate your time, and thank you for allowing us to talk some ball with y'all.
Catch y'all Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Because Labor Day.
Because Labor Day.
Tuesday.
And have a happy Labor Day.